Merse Kollo, welcome to F1RE podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Happy to have you here, brother.
Thank
you
you.
are, as I always say, one of the smartest guys I know in the business, and I mean it. And my personal real estate agent.
That's right.
So that goes a long way with an amazing experience and a very challenging deal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys and having this conversation here.
Love it. So tell us, not born in the States, tell us how you came to the States and how you got into real estate.
So I came here. I was born in Hungary. I lived there for 16 years. I came 17 years ago now. Wow. More than half of my life, actually. So 17 years ago now.
Birthday tomorrow.
Birthday tomorrow, turning
Wow.
33. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So it was very random, really, because I had a great life. Most of my family is still in Hungary, my sister, my brother, my dad. And then one day, my mom actually got into an argument with her boyfriend at the time. My parents are divorced a long time ago when I was a kid. And my mom got into an argument with her boyfriend at the time, just a small argument. And one of these apps popped up on her computer back then that, live and work in the United States, or work and live in the United States. And she was just upset at her boyfriend. She filled out the application and she completely forgot about it, like 100% forgot about it. And then 2-3 months later, maybe, she got a phone call saying that, hey, you want a green card. And anybody in your family, if you're married or if anybody in your family is under 18, then they can come with you and they automatically get a green card. And my mom actually thought that that was just a prank call. She actually forgot about the fact that she filled out the application. She didn't really think much of it. And in the call, they said that we're going to send you a package that you need to fill out that includes all the paperwork, what you have to do from A to Z. And she was like, okay, just send me the package and we'll look at it. She thought the package will never gonna come. She thought it was one of her friends or something like that, just pranking her. And we were on vacation somewhere. I don't remember where. We were on vacation, maybe in Egypt or somewhere random. And my mom's friend thought that, hey, there's a big package for you. There's a big yellow envelope at the door. Do you want me to pick it up? And she's like, sure. Yeah, open it, see what's in it. And it was the actual, the welcome package and everything else.
Wow.
And that was the time when the opportunity became real. And she came to me because my siblings are older. They're 13, 14 years older than me. So they were already adults. They had their own families when this happened. I was 16. And she asked me, do you want to try it? And I said, look, what do we have to lose? I mean, we go there, we go for 6 months, a year, 4 months, whatever it is, and to see how it works out. And we just go from there. So that's what we did. We came to Palm Springs, out of all places.
Wow.
We came to Palm Springs because that was the only place in the US my mom had a friend.
Oh.
So that's how we landed on Palm Springs.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it made sense. And she also liked the idea that it's not a huge city. So if we have to restart our lives from scratch, it may be easier in a smaller city than a place like LA or New York or Miami. So came to Palm Springs at 16. This is 2008. Yeah, August of 2008.
How was your English?
Not great. I mean, it's compared to something like whoever is learning Spanish here in high school when you're 16 years old, that's how my English was.
Terrible.
Not great at all.
If you use that example.
Yeah, that's how it was really. And so I got enrolled in high school, Palm Springs High, when we came, and I just started going to high school.
As a junior.
As a junior. Now
That's got to be a tough, was that a tough transition?
Yes. I mean, it's new culture. I came from a religious high school that was a really, really good private high school in Hungary. That was an amazing, amazing high school. And to make the transition and not speaking the language and pick up on the culture, make friends, there's a lot that goes into that. I got lucky because I was good at soccer and I played my whole life. So that was my in to make friends in school. And, after a couple of months, I would say probably it took me probably 8 to 10 months to get to a point where I can actually carry a conversation, or 6 to 8 months, 8 to 10 months.
So how was school when you can't, when you were in school, help me understand that, and you don't understand the language that well, that's gotta be super challenging, no?
It was only because of the language, because high schools in Europe have a very different setup than what you guys have over here. Here you take biology for 2 years, you take chemistry for 2 years, physics, whatever. You only have to have so many credits to hit your limit or whatever you need to hit to graduate. Over there, you have to take physics, biology, chemistry from grade 7. So when I came as a junior, I had so many credits. Like I was pretty much almost ready to graduate. And, but I didn't want to. I also didn't know how things worked. So everything was completely new to me. And I didn't graduate early because I didn't know how things worked. I didn't know how to apply for college. All that I had to figure out on my own. Plus, I wanted to, by the time I was ready for college, I wanted to be able to speak the language properly. So I stayed in high school. I took English classes. I retook intro to chemistry just so I understand and the words and just to help with my English, really. That's what it was. So I was there for 2 years. And then went to community college down in the desert for about 2 years, then transferred out here to LA, finished my degree in finance. And when I moved out here, I obviously had to make money somehow. So I needed a job. When I made the transition from Palm Springs to LA, I started working as an assistant for a pretty successful real estate agent, but also he was an operator. He had a sizable real estate portfolio. And
how did you meet that
I just
job?
applied for the job.
Okay.
I applied for the job. I think it was on Craigslist or something.
Okay.
I was just looking for a job. I needed something to do. And I was studying finance. So I figured real estate would be, related to finance. It's a good mix. So might as well just do that. And I applied for the job. I got the job. Initially it was a part-time job, but it turned into a full-time situation very quickly. So I was going to school and working full-time. And by the time I got close to graduation, I was already doing my own deals. And for my age, I was making decent money. And I had a choice to make, which was either to go for my master's in business or stay and go to law school, or not do any of those things and see where, life takes me. The reason I didn't do any of those things is because, I actually applied. I really wanted to do something with finance, so I applied to McKinsey, Bain and Company, all the big names, just for an internship to see what I could do. And I was doing the interviews, I was meeting with people, and the problem to me personally, the problem was that they start you out with a base salary. Back then, if you were lucky, you had a base salary of like 80 grand.
Oh,
year,
yeah.
if you're lucky. That's with them sending me to business school, paying for my business school, and doing all of that. And I was lucky if I was going to get 80 grand. 80 grand is 2 deals really a year. That I was already doing at the time. So that didn't make financial sense to me. And the other component was that if you work for a company like McKinsey or Bain or Ernst Young, or whatever that is, you're traveling 300 days out of the year. If not more, you're living in hotels. And if you do really well, let's say you make a junior partner a partner, obviously your salary goes up significantly, but it's not, I always thought that I could do more on my own than by working for someone else.
Far more entrepreneurial spirit.
And that's just it could be different for other people, but that's just my personality and my path. So I graduated and I, dove into real estate right after that.
When you first started working for this real estate company and operator, which I think is an important distinction, you did a few of your own deals. That's what allowed you to have this additional income. How did you source those deals? How did you, that's really a challenge for most people. It's like, well,
when you say you did a couple of your own deals, what does that mean?
Well, okay. So for the first year when I was working, and it was a small company, right? But the guy who runs it owns a lot of real estate in the city, and he was also a realtor. So I worked my behind up. I worked my butt off to prove myself that, hey, I want to do this. I had to prove myself to him that I'm smart enough to do this, that I'm a good fit for this. And I just wanted to learn, really. The biggest part was just learning. That was my biggest thing. And when he saw that I was doing a good job and I saw that I was responsible and I'm just here to learn, it wasn't really a money thing for me at that time. But then when he got his smaller clients, who wanted a $500,000 house or a $400,000 house, those got passed down to me. So my first deal was, I'm not going to forget, it was a $327,000 sale in Long Beach. It was a small little condo. That was my very, very first deal.
So you didn't generate the lead for it. You just ran the deal. That's where I think you were going.
I just ran the deal. I got passed down to me because obviously
you earned it.
Because I earned it.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't want to deal with a small deal like that. So he just passed it down to me.
Well, there's no question. And that always remains the case. And, we might get the chance during this podcast to talk to a junior or two that work with Merse. And that's one of the decisions that people make out of the gate is that, okay, so I got my real estate license. What am I going to do now? obviously you can go into a mentor program, you're on your own, or you go with a small team, medium-sized team, large team. But, the economics of a team are that the rainmaker makes most of the money, but it does create opportunity right out of the gate.
So for you, to that point that Paul makes, what can I ask you, what kind of split were you getting on those early deals? What were you getting of those deals?
I think it was 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah, I really think it was 50-50.
So you were running the whole deal. He was giving you the lead.
He was giving me the lead. It was a good lead. It was a solid lead, but it was a 50-50 split.
Also pretty common.
Right. Very common. I think that's pretty much the norm.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a new agent, and then I'm speaking from my own experience, someone else's experience could be completely different. But if you're a new agent, getting your license and actually working in real estate are two very different things.
Oh, of course.
Very, very different things. Anyone could study for 2-3 months or however long it takes you to study for the license and pass that test. Anybody could do that. But when you're actually doing a deal, it's very different. So I think if you're a new agent, I think the best path is to work for someone that actually does business, find a mentor who will help you and willing to help you. And most people are willing to help you. If you go to someone and say, hey, I just want to sit here, see what you're doing, even if you don't pay me anything for the first month or two, let me prove myself. Let me show you that I want to do this and I want to learn and I'm here to learn. I think very few people would not give you that opportunity.
There's a mindset and a way to go about that. We running a giant brokerage, we have lots of newer agents, also lots of agents with some experience, and the way that they would come at a principal like you are in a team is going to determine whether they would be brought on or not. So for example, I know that if you were you and you came, sorry to say it so weird, but if it was you, the way you approached it, and you came to a guy like yourself, then, you'd say, sure. But, going and saying like, I know it all or whatever it would be, if you come really like, I want to learn, I'll do anything. I'll get your lunch for you, whatever it is, whatever it takes, I want to learn from you. That is an important step that you overlook because that's in your DNA.
Yeah. Humble and hungry, as I always say, which you epitomize. I mean, that's to this day. I mean, that's who you are. So yeah, I think to Paul's point, you may take that for granted. That's not always the case with many other agents.
And also back to
and smart and prepared. And, even just what you said about, your perspective about like what the alternatives were, like a Bain, a McKinsey versus that. I mean, there aren't too many, quite frankly, people in the real estate world, particularly young in the world, that even know who Bain and McKinsey are.
That's right.
All right. So good.
The biggest consulting firms on, fanciest consulting firms on the planet
that are extremely competitive to get into. Right. But that wasn't your perspective. You were betting on yourself. That's a true entrepreneur spirit to say, I'm confident enough in myself with that level of humility to know I'm going to do what it takes and I'm going to, outpace other people over time. And I'm going to reap the reward of that, right? That's the entrepreneurial spirit.
You can't come into any business or any life situation and start demanding things without proving yourself first. You have to prove yourself first. Then you have the right to demand and ask for things. But you have to prove yourself first.
It's amazing how many people, particularly in our business, who do not
miss
understand
that step. Yeah. We've got an agent who,
they're negotiating out of the gate with no track record of anything. It blows my mind.
Hey, I want an office. I want this. I want that. You go, okay, great. How many deals have you done? 0. And we're just like, get them out of here, and again, you would, I understand that in their mind, hey, I'm coming from a background where I know a lot of people and I've got all this experience and I just, they wouldn't be getting into the business if they didn't think they were going to crush it. But track record speaks for itself. There's one thing that you said about, getting your license versus being a realtor, 2 different things. And that's so common, except for getting a real estate license, you study 2-3 months max and, you can pass the test. Even getting a law degree, I went to a fancy law school. That means you had to do great undergrad. You had to do great on your LSAT. You had to do all these things right. And then you go to law school. And when you graduate law school, you're not ready to practice law. There's no, and then you have to pass the bar and you do all of that. You're not ready to practice law. And so there's a great adage, which is, You can't learn how to ride a bicycle in a seminar. You know, you can put the thing, here's the physics of it, and you got to really push to get the gravitational force. You know, you could do all of that, and it could help a little bit, but at the end of the day, you got to get on that bicycle.
You got to step on the playing field.
You just have to do it.
Yeah.
You just have to do it. And I think a lot of people, they just don't do it. They say that they want to do it, and I even believe them that they want to do it, but they never execute on it. They never do anything with it.
Yeah.
I think the big problem in our industry is that people coming into this industry, watching all the TV shows and everything that's out there, and they think it's easy. It's not easy. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of tears, a lot of opportunities that you miss out on, and you make mistakes. That's another thing. It's okay to make a mistake. It's completely, when you're early on in your career, you make mistakes. I make mistakes every day. I'm sure you guys do too. We make mistakes every day, but I also think that the first mistake or the second mistake is not going to kill you. If you don't catch them, that's what's going to kill you. Whether it's a real estate deal, whether it's a relationship with someone, the first mistake is never really fatal. It's also the follow. When you don't catch it and it spirals out of control, that's when you're in trouble.
So you got to learn from the mistakes. That's the beauty of it. Let me ask you a question that really struck me. At 16 years old, your mom says, "Hey, like, are you open to going, across the world? You're in the middle of high school. You're probably popular, doing well in school and sports." Like, I don't know that many kids that would be that receptive to that. Where does that willingness to try new things, which I know you well to know that that's who you are, but where does that come from?
I think it's just how I grew up. My mom was a small business owner. My dad was a small business owner. They always took on risks, opening new businesses, whatever the case may be. I was very comfortable with that. I was very comfortable with trying something new and see if it works out. If it was the worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, I'm going back to the exact same spot I was before. But to miss out on something without trying, I don't like that. That's one of the things I rather try everything I can, give it my best. If I lose it, I lose it. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But to me personally, the fear of not trying it is worse than trying it and failing with it.
That is power. I mean, I cannot tell you how passionate I am about that lesson. And it's one of the things I'm trying to instill in my own son, which has been challenging. But again, rather step up to the plate and strike out than never step up at all, in which case you never have a chance to get a hit. I mean, period. And who wants to regret anything? Like, right?
I mean, imagine as an adult going back, if I didn't do it, right? Let's say I said, "Hey, Mom, I really don't want to do this." I would be really upset right now. As an adult, I would be upset because I had an opportunity to try something that not a lot of people do, right? Like we see, you watch everybody watches the news. People are dying to get into this country, dying to, and it was literally handed to me in an envelope that, "Hey, you can come." That would have been a huge regret in my life if I wouldn't have done it.
I mean, tremendous perspective for anyone, let alone a 16-year-old.
I was living in Santa Monica with my daughter, and separate from her mom who lived nearby, so that's convenient. Very close to the school, that's convenient. And I decided that I wanted to move up to Mulholland Drive, which is inconvenient. And my 16-year-old pitched an absolute fit, it's going to ruin my life, that we're, and it's across town, same school, no change of school, no change of friends. In fact, closer to some of the friends. And it's like, that is a lesson, and at the end of the day, when we grew up, we weren't really consulted on those things. It was like
this is what you're doing, kid.
Dad's got a new job in a different city. It didn't happen to me, but the number of people
around
our
a ton
age,
of times as a kid. And I think it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. Your ability to adapt and build resilience and is powerful in life. So,
staying in that comfort zone is going
not how you grow.
Yeah, it's going to, it's where we all want to be, and it's where we all want to stay. And there's
having the self-awareness to know that does not serve you best.
Correct.
Is unique.
Correct. Shifting gears, what does your current real estate practice look like right now? What sort of business do you do? How many people are on your team? What are you doing now versus what you would like to be doing? The whole state of the
from a productivity standpoint.
State of Merse's team at the moment.
we are small, right? We only have 4 people. We are purposely small because we had more people in the past, and we tried working with, different people, but it's really difficult to find good people in this industry. So I rather have a few people that I know I can rely on. I know what they're doing. I know that they're good at what they're doing. We have a good relationship. I don't have to hold their hands all the time, rather than having 10 people working for me and all I'm doing is holding hand and answering questions that I really don't want to answer. I don't want to deal with. So we are very small. We are very focused on what we do and what we do best. We're not trying to go out of our lane. We tried that too. It failed. I mean, we tried going out and do different things, but it's not what we're good at. It's not what our focus is at. So most of our clientele is developers. We work with a lot of developers, high net worth individuals, investors. We are well versed in different aspects of real estate, but the core of it is really development. That's what we are really good at. We do take on commercial deals here and there, but it's not really our niche because of my background and because I worked in private equity a little bit. We understand that. We understand that business, but it's not something we're going after. It was kind of a natural addition to what we were already doing, because when you're working with investors and builders, they own a lot of real estate, and some of it happens to be commercial. So when we help them with their commercial needs, but it's really not our niche. It's really developers for the most part.
And that's single family
developers.
And break that down, because we take for granted what that means. So really get into the quick nuts and bolts of what that means for a developer client. What are you doing specifically for them?
We have a lot of developer clients. You don't want to work with one of them. You want to have a wide variety. They build in different areas. They have different, risk aversion. They're looking for different kind of product. Some of them develop in the $2 million range. Some of them develop in the $10, $15 million range. They're very, very different. But because we have so many developers, it's getting to the point that I know it already got to that point that I know what they want. I know their terms. I know how much they would pay for a house. So we take it a step forward. I'll almost get it to the point that I know they will take that deal. So when we're negotiating with the seller, and again, I can do this because a lot of the deals that we do are off market. About 50 to 60% of our business happens off market. And we have a saying among ourselves that you can take the credit, we take the cash. We're not looking for recognition. That's not us. We're running the business, and we want to run that business in the best possible way. How is the most financially beneficial to us? At the end of the day, it's a business. That's what you're running. So, go ahead.
So now you're looking for. So your developers are looking for a certain product, right? A certain, type of home, lot size, whatever. You're finding them that property, and then they're developing it, and then you're listing it. Okay. So I just want to
we're reselling it, but I know exactly what they're looking for. So when a deal comes across, when we come across a deal, and I know the area, I know where it is, I know exactly which developer would take that deal.
So a lot of, and this is a critical juncture of the interview, because we have a national audience, and there are realtors of all levels that tune in, which we greatly appreciate. I think everybody would like developer clients, and here's why. If I have one great client, I'm going to find a house for them, and they're likely going to stay in that house, depending on age and demographics. They're likely going to stay in that house between 8 and 12 years. And if I did a great job for them, which I did, of course, and then I stay in touch with them for 8 to 12 years, which is what, sort of best practices is teaching realtors to do. Then when they look for a new house, then maybe I get a sale of the old house and a buy on the new house. And so that's a long life cycle. So one of the reasons why people would love a developer client or a host of developer clients is like, well, they're buying. They're also generally interested in more than one. If you could find them like 4 or 5 opportunities that meet their criteria, they'll say yes to 4 or 5. Then they're going to develop them. And their idea is to do it as quickly as possible. So best case scenario for them would be, a year or whatever, depending on whether it's a, ground up or whatever it is. But, somewhere probably between 6 months and 2.5 years. they're going to really be looking to sell this place. So,
it's multiple deals with one client. Bottom line,
everybody wants a developer client or many developer clients, and somehow you got your first developer client, and then somehow you got your second and third.
And before you go there, which is critically important, how do you get the developer client?
Okay.
That's what productivity. Give us just a quick synopsis of like, what does that 4-person team do in terms of number of units and closed volume annually?
Again, we took a break from this, right? And we really jumped back into this because of the private equity company. We took a break. We completely removed ourselves from normal real estate. We didn't do much of it. We didn't do any of it really for 2 years. So we jumped back into the swing of things. I think it was August. No, it was August of last year. We really started hitting deals and the setup and everything else, and just got back to the normal daily routine. I think we started doing like deals really in, I would say, September, October. And since then, I think we're about like $50 million or so in sales volume.
Which is amazing at an accelerating pace,
right,
because it took some time to get the party started again.
And that's at what kind of average price point? How many units is that?
Our average, I mean, it depends. It's a mix. But if I had to guess, our average price point is probably around 3 million. But I don't know the number.
And this
exactly.
is where a mathematical average is really not a good
representation.
It's not a good measure, because you've got your people that are looking, for $1.5 million buy, where they're going to put $500,000 or $600,000 into it. Then you've got your people that are going to do the $5 million buy, scrape it, spend $10 million, maybe come out the other side at a $20-25 million house. So really broad range, where a mathematical average, there may be none at the average.
Very possible,
right.
Actually. There is none. But the developer, just to answer your question, developer clients are the easiest clients to come by, because you see they're developing in your neighborhood where you live or where you work. You see somebody's putting up a new construction. You can literally check title, walk into the job site and start talking to them. Now, most likely you're not going to get that listing that they're building right there because somebody else sold it to them.
Sure.
And the agreement with developers most of the time is that if I bring you the deal, you'd relist it with me, because otherwise I'm not bringing it to someone else who's going to relist it with me.
And it's amazing how often that does not happen.
I'm not giving you the deal if you're not giving me the realist. Now there could be, extraordinary circumstances, a very good client or something. There could be something there, but most of the time, your money is not really in the sale, in the first sale, right? When it's a teardown, your money is really in the second sale.
Right, that's right.
Because the price point is considerably higher. However, if you don't have the value and the confidence like that you do, some money on them selling, on an agent selling them that opportunity is better than no money. And they don't have the confidence to actually, get the list after they've developed the property. And we know many agents.
And what that would look like, I know it's a foreign concept to you, as it should be, but what that looks like is, I've got a realtor and, he really needs to make a sale. And so he knows a developer or two, and one in particular that does a bunch of houses, and then he brings them the buy, which is like $1.4 million, and then they put $400,000 or $500,000 into it to make it really nice. Now they're $1.8 million, but they really need to get out at like 2.3 to make their margin, and so they want to then list it with what they view as a fancier agent to list it. And so that's the way that mind works. So talk to me about that, because
I get
because you got a $5 million buy, okay, and now you've got this amazing developer, and they're like, okay, we'll take it, but now they're going to put $7 million into it. So now they're into a $12 million. Let's say including soft costs, hard costs, carrying costs, $7 million. Now they're really into 12, and they want to sell it for 18 or 16, and they feel like we need somebody who is like the super realtor.
That's a fair argument, but that could happen once. Okay, let's say it happens to you once. It's fine. It happened to me before. It happens to anyone, especially when I was younger. But if I keep bringing deals to that person, right, and they're good deals, and I break it down for him how you're gonna make money on this, then I also have at those numbers, it's probably a new construction situation.
Sure.
So I have 2 years to establish a relationship with that person. I can go to the job site. I can call him. I can bring him other deals. I can be as involved with him as I want to be, or as he wants me to be. So I have a 2-year window there to prove myself. Now it could happen it could happen in the very end that it becomes a co-listing situation or something like that. But I'm still in it. I'm still in the deal. I don't want to give that up. But that's on me. I have 2 years there.
But here's the biggest point. You're creating so much value for that person, and that like you're bringing them great opportunities that others are not, because how many agents are going after investor clients? I know so many, it's ridiculous. And there's only a limited number that do it very successfully. And they do that because they're creating significant value. That client is not going to list with someone else because they're going to jeopardize the relationship with Merse, and you're creating so much value for them. They don't want to jeopardize that.
Right.
It's simple.
It's a win-win. It has to be a win-win. It's also, you have to be able to decide how involved they want you to be. I have developer clients that I'm very involved. I'm very involved on the loan. I'm very involved in the design of it, because they come back to me and say, hey, what sells in this neighborhood? What's attractive in this neighborhood? What do we have to do? How do they have to do the finishes? What do we need a pool? Do we not need a pool? What's important in this particular neighborhood? And that's on you to know all these kind of things. And the only way you know it if you're doing it and you're doing your research. There's other developers who don't ask me anything. I give them the deal. They do whatever they want to do, and they tell me when they're ready.
Yeah,
and you're still able to get them for the listing.
Yes, I use different ways to create value there, because they don't need me for that particular thing, but I can keep bringing up whatever value means to them. You have to understand that, and that's where you create your own value.
So is that explicitly discussed?
What do you mean?
Getting the listing.
Yeah, I say it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it goes without saying most of the time. If you're asking me whether or not I get a listing agreement signed right away, right after that, that really depends on my relationship with them, how much trust is there, is it a new relationship, what their reputation is. Because it's a small community. It's a small community.
Yep.
It's a big city, but it's a small community.
Okay. What percentage, when you bring right now with your cadre of developer clients, what percentage of the time are you getting the sell?
85 to 90.
Okay. So, and one of the interesting things that you said was, you said that, developer clients are the easiest to get. Being in the business, I know Merse, I know why he says that. And that's because
they're the easiest to identify. Go ahead.
They're the easiest.
Right.
They're the easiest to identify. So that's easy. Just drive around your neighborhood, see who's building what. You can find that out in a day. You could have 10, 15 developer clients names in a day.
Yep.
Now, your value add is going out and sourcing the deals that they are looking for. And so now when you know exactly what and most developer clients will tell you exactly what they're needing. The point I was going to make right before is that, as you say, they're the easiest. And that's because you're bringing them, you can identify them easily, you can figure out what they want. And then Merse and his team do all the hard work of finding the deal for them. And so then, oh, hey, I've got this deal. It's a 5-minute phone call. Are you interested? Or are you not interested? Okay, no, sorry. Next, you call the next developer. Merse says they're the easiest. They're also the least loyal. And what I mean by the least loyal is Merse develops all this rapport with them. And let's say he's 100% at getting the resale. Okay. So I'm the developer, and like, you bring me this great deal and you're like, hey dude, I give you this deal, you got to give me the resale. And I go, well, okay, sure. So there's not a problem with that loyalty generally. But now Josh comes to me and says, hey, Paul, I have another great deal. And I go, oh, okay. Let me talk to Josh. So that developer, while it's an easy client, and if you do it right, you can get the sale, they're going to go with whoever brings them that right deal. Because as a real estate investor myself, and I am not great like your clients at the execution piece. Like, do I have the A+ team that's going to do the job right and on time and on budget? And, no. And yet I still do great with real estate investing, and I still have never lost money on a single deal. And that's because what I always say is I've made the money on the buy. So as soon as I close on the buy side, and because I know myself, I'm not doing one of these deals where, I buy it for $1.3 million. I put 200,000 into it. Now I'm in $1.5 million and I'm going to sell it for $1.7 million. If you had that deal for me right now, I'd be like, I'm too nervous because there's not enough room in that deal.
Do that deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. But I'm saying there are deals that your great developer clients would do that if you brought to me, I would say I can't do because I don't have all the contractors and everything lined up. So I make the money on the buy, but that is what every developer is going to say. And the only way that you make the money on the buy is by someone bringing you that deal, which is going to bring the money.
Look, and at the end of the day, as you said, their loyalty lies in what's going to line their pocket most effectively. And that's what you're bringing to the table to them. That's the bottom line. And honestly, people talk about loyalty all the time. Blind loyalty makes no sense. Loyalty is about value creation, right? That's what I'm loyal to. I'm loyal to people that bring value to me in my world, in my life, personally, professionally, right? So I think that's important. The other thing I know about you, coming back to know your audience, you're asking the questions that other agents are not asking to really truly understand what's of value to that particular developer, because you understand the process better than 99% of other people. And that allows you to ask the right questions because they don't even know the questions to ask because they're not as knowledgeable as Merse is on what may be important to them and what are the different levers to create financial and economic value for the developer.
Okay, so let's do this. Merse, you see me building something in an area that you like. You say Mar Vista is one of the areas you like, and then you see me building one, and then you see me building another one. Okay, and you're driving through. Number one, how do you get in touch with me? And number two, what is the conversation?
I mean, getting in touch with you is easy. I look at title, I see who owns the property. It's an LLC. We find who is behind the LLC, whatever the case may be. I get your phone number from one of the million places that are online.
Sure.
I'll give you a call. I may even call you just because I know you're building. Mm-hmm. Even if I don't have a deal to offer at that point, I may even just call you that, hey, Paul, I see you building this house. I see you bought it for this much. What are you doing with it? What are you looking for? Are you looking for other deals? Are you a developer who does 2 or 3 deals at a time? Or do we have capacity to do more deals? Because we're active in the area. We know the area. We sold this, and this at these prices. Are you open to more projects? If I come across something, I would love to call you.
Okay. So it's like, hey, Paul, I got your number from, Jim, who's the, title guy or whatever. And, my name's Merse and I represent a bunch of developers. I noticed you're building something in the area. Do you have a couple of minutes to chat?
That's really it. And I would like to know what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. What's your ideal deal? Like I would ask you what the perfect deal for you. What would that look like? What sort of IRR are we looking at? What sort of ROI are we looking at?
And what kind of capacity?
What sort of capacity you have? So that's important. Because there's sometimes I call one of my developer clients and they said, look, I love the deal, but I'm at capacity. I'm using up all my cash. I'm building 5, 6 other houses. I really can't take on another one.
Developers and investors are tough in the sense that, they just like a seller wants more money than the house is going to sell for or whatever. Maybe the developer wants to buy less expensive than it's really possible to do. I will say, if I'm the developer and Merse says like, what's your ideal deal? It would be like me going to you and saying, hey, you know what? I know you don't want to sell your house, but like, give me a crazy price that like, what would you sell it for? And you're like, 5, well, it's worth 3.2, like if you brought me 4 or 5, so this is a conversation that's an easy conversation, because developers want to tell you what kind of crazy deal they would say yes to right now. That's a great opener.
Yeah, it's a great opener, but you could also give me a scenario that I know is completely unrealistic.
Sure.
So guess what? Then you're at the bottom of my list that I'm calling with a deal.
Right.
Because I don't want to work with someone who's completely unrealistic.
Yeah.
Right. There is no benefit in them. I'm just wasting my time. It's never going to happen.
Right.
And I have those people.
Right.
I know those people that are at the very bottom of my list. And I only call them if all else fails. Do I know it's a long shot? I just want to try it.
And that's such a valid point, because I see so many agents in our orbit and well-intended trying to get investor clients, and they don't even know what's realistic. They don't know. They get spun around by investors all the time because they're looking for a needle in the haystack, because they don't have enough market knowledge and information to even know if what they're looking for is actually viable. And that's, again, comes back to how knowledgeable you are, knowing your market. So you know, hey, is this buy box something that actually makes sense? And is it something I can deliver? If not, this is a waste of my time.
And let me just stop to define buy box, because that's a term that investors use all the time, that realtors use that work with investors. And a buy box is very simple, and it goes like this. Here's my criteria. If you're inside of that buy box, then I'll buy. And maybe I'm working in Mar Vista. So, I'm really looking for, between 6,000 feet and 8,000 feet, and, a 3-2 that costs whatever, or here's the purchase price, and anything at this purchase price or lower on this size of a lot, That is the buy box.
And the other point I'm going to bring out to you is how smart and up to speed you are relative to other people on like the zoning ordinances and understanding what the possibilities are on a particular lot, where so many agents don't have even the basic handle on that, because that informs what the potential is. And sometimes the investor may not even know if there's something new, and you're presenting them perhaps with an opportunity that they may not have even recognized on their own.
Well, I have a deal, and I know it's a deal, right? Because I know enough about the market. I know enough about the area, and I just know it's a deal. I know when I have a deal. So I don't just call you that and say that, hey, I have this deal, 1.7, do you want it or not? I know you at that point. If I call you first, we probably have a relationship. I'll call you that, hey, I know you paid 1.8 for another lot that was similar to this. I remember that I just saw it on public records. Even if you didn't buy it with me, I still see it. I know you paid for 1.8 for that one. I saw your loan documents on title. I know how much your interest rate is. I have the numbers broken down. You buy it for 1.8, you carry for 12 months, how much that's going to cost you. I see roughly how much you're building for. I can make a good estimate how much you're building for based on your exits and everything and your purchase prices. So I have all the details in there lined up for you. And if you have a different personality, I may email it to you, because some people respond better to an email. Developers, most of the time it's a phone call and then followed up by an email. But I'll call you and I'll break it down to you. I'll break it down completely. I think this is why you should do it. And if you have a valid argument against it, I'm happy to hear it out, because then I'm doing something wrong. But usually we get it pretty close to what they're looking for and what their numbers are.
And they want everything to do with someone who's that prepared, that knowledgeable, and that knows what they're talking about, as opposed to so many other agents that do not.
Well, they don't want to waste their time.
Yeah. Well, the numbers are the numbers. You said it's a national podcast, right? So whether it's in LA, the only difference is what the basis is.
Sure.
Right? And you could make an argument that you build for different costs in different part of the city or different part of the country. But as an agent who works there, you should know how much that costs.
Absolutely.
So your interest rates are your interest rates. Your building costs are your building costs. The length of it is the length of it. So these are pretty set. These don't vary much. So you could really call a developer and break down the numbers for them. You don't need to be an actuary to do this. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty simple.
Step one, if I had no developer clients, and let's just say I'm listening to this podcast, but I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. We actually have a great friend who sells a lot of houses in Omaha, Nebraska, and does this very, very well. And so that guy says to us, I want to explain to me how I get into this developer game. I would say go to a developer that's doing not just one-offs, that's doing, 10 a year, or maybe in that lower price point, maybe they're even doing more, whatever, 10 a year is enough. Say, hey, listen, I'm a realtor in the area. I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I really want to find deals for people who want to buy deals. So I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste yours, but I'd love to, have coffee with you and understand what is your development process. Because if at the end of that coffee, which will take, I won't waste your time. That coffee will take 35 minutes. At the end of that, if I really understand what you do, one of the things I'm going to do is I am going to go to work for you without you knowing it. And I'm going to try and find you those deals that you want. Now, how's a developer going to say no to that?
They won't. They want to talk to you. Just who knows about the deal first? You made that phone call. You are the first person to know about the deal. At that point, when you know you have a real seller and you know you possibly have a deal on the table, it's up to you who you bring it to. So who you're going to bring it to? You're the most likely person who's going to close that deal. You're not going to bring it to the person who is iffy about it. He may not be sure. His last projects didn't really do that well. Like, you have to keep track of everything what's going on in that market so you know who to bring it to. And if you bring it to the right person, they have absolutely no reason not to buy it. That's their business. Their business, that's how they make their livelihood. That's how they provide for their family. They build houses and that's how they make money. That's the same way people get a salary or we get commission or whatever that is. That's their livelihood. They have to build more. They have to do their things because this is how they live.
So let me ask you this. What's your greatest challenge with respect to growing your business? Is it more developers? Is it finding the right properties? Is it like, tell me, like, is it the like, there's a lot of agents that work with developers. I can name several of them right now that do pretty well. What is, in your mind, the greatest challenge to grow in that particular area of your business?
Finding the properties takes a lot of time and energy and a lot of connections, a lot of calls and different, creative ways to come up with deals. So finding the deal is always difficult. And
what percent again of just finding the properties are off-market opportunities that you present?
50 to 60.
Okay.
So that's where I was going to go because, again, I'm thinking about our audience and our audience is like, well, geez, I'd like developer clients. I don't really know how to figure out, find out. Now we're like, dude, it's easy. Go find somebody that's doing 10, bend their ear over coffee, tell them the reason why you're doing it is you're trying to find their buy box. And then you're going to work in the background and won't bother them again until you have a deal that fits inside their buy box. There's very few that are going to say no to that. So we've got our meeting now, and now the meeting is done. And
the challenge is finding the opportunity.
I'm not going to find that particular property on the MLS because if I could find that property on the MLS, they would do it without me, generally. So so now I go.
Or not. Go ahead.
Yeah. Give me real numbers. So like, give me a buy box of a typical client. Give me the lower end because the lower end is going to be a higher end somewhere else. So right now you've got a developer that will take X. What? Give me a real live example.
So let's do a flip. Flip is a little bit easier numbers wise. So let's do something in West Hollywood or Beverly Grove. That's easy. Your buy in Beverly Grove, certain pockets has to be at 1.8, 1.7. And this market, you may have to be closer to 1.7 for a 6,000 lot. Ideally, you want a house that's at least 1,900 square feet or so. And then you would probably still do an ADU on it so you can get the total square footage to like 2,200 or so, 2,250, something like that. So you pick that up for 1.9, let's say 1.8. You pick that up for 1.8, which is a fair deal that you can find those deals. This is a reasonable deal. This is something that exists and it's out there. It's just a matter of finding it. You get into trouble if you're working with someone who wants to buy for 1.5. That doesn't exist. That just doesn't happen. You may find a one-off once every 3 years, but you can't count on that. So 1.8 is a reasonable number. You buy for 1.8. Go ahead.
So 1.8 Beverly Grove, 6,000 square foot lot, 1,900 square foot house, and 1.8's a reasonable price, but you're not finding 1.8 on the MLS.
If you're finding 1.8 on the MLS, it's only going to be there for 2 days.
What does that house sell for generally on the MLS? So that's for a retail buyer. Same condition. Is it going on the market for like 2.1?
2.
Yeah,
It's not much.
It's two, but that's a big
That
part of your
difference is-
profit. That 200 grand is a big
huge.
part of your profit.
Yeah, so it's on the market for 2-1, but the person's really going to get 195. That's it, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
So essentially, you're looking at roughly buying something at about 20% below
10%,
market price.
10%.
10%.
10%.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Little more than
Better
10.
math,
Yeah.
yeah. So 10, 12% below market value. And in order to get 10% below market value, you really
have to go off market.
You really have to go off market.
You got to beat the bushes.
You just have to find a deal. But they are out there.
Right.
It's possible.
But the reason why I asked that is because now I'm in Beverly. I talked to the developer. Josh is a developer. He's like, you know what? He's done 6 houses in Beverly Grove.
Bring me 1.8, 6,000 square foot, 1,900 square feet. I'm ready to go.
But if he were to say, bring me 1.5, 1,900 square feet, 6,000 square foot lot. Now, what I can do is, because I'm brand new, I haven't done with developers yet. So I go and I see what's on the market and I find the house or houses and it doesn't have to be for sale at the moment. Again, you could go to a title resource or whatever. What are all the houses that are, this lot size approximately, this square foot approximately? What are all the houses that have sold in the last 12 months or 8 months? And when I see all the sale prices in the 1.9, 1.95, 1.85 range, and now my developer client says, bring it to me at 1.4. I'm like,
you don't have a buyer.
You don't have a buyer. But this is a way, this is a formula that somebody can use, because now let's say we go to Omaha, Nebraska, and they're now looking for something that it's selling, it's getting listed at 650, but it's selling at 575, and then you do your 10 to 12% less. That's where, let's use rounder numbers, 600 grand is what it's selling at. And I know if I can get it at, 500, that's okay. But when they say, hey, I want it for 450 or 4.25, you're like, it's never going to happen. Now I'm looking for a needle in a haystack, because it's hard enough, because I watch how hard you guys work. It's hard enough to get the ones that are 10 to 12%.
Very
below
difficult.
market.
And also, a lot of people made that mistake. That when they have a tear down, right? They put it up on the market for $2 million, or they do a very light remodel that they shouldn't have done in the first place. Because you put a cheap kitchen in there, you put a cheap bathroom in there, or cheap floors in there, and that's not a remodeled house. Mm-hmm. But it's also not a tear down, and you already spent the money on it. Mm-hmm. So that house, you can put it up for $2 million, but eventually, you're looking for a needle in the haystack, because you need an end user who's willing to do the work, because those are the only people who will pay a premium for a teardown, right? Because they really want to be in the neighborhood and they're willing to do the work and they're willing to develop. How many of those people are really out there? Not that many compared to developers. So that house will trade, if they're real sellers, will trade at that 1.8 number, 1.85 number. Now it's your job to track that home on the MLS, call the listing agent, or if you're the listing agent, then prep the sellers that, look, this is going to sell at 1.8. Whether it sells at 1.8 today or 2 months from now or 3 months from now, that's completely up to you. That's completely up to you. And we had these situations when I knew it was overpriced. I knew it was on the market. We just closed one of these like 2 months ago, maybe. They were on the market for 180 days. And I called them every now and then. I knew the listing agent. I'm like, look, man, we both know this is not going to sell. So whenever you're ready for it was a different area, but whenever you're ready for a 165 offer, or you think that they are ready for a 165 offer, call me. I'll get that to you in 2 hours. And that's how we sold the house. We had to wait it out until the seller came to terms with reality that this is not going to be selling for more than that price. So there is deals on the market. My point is that there's deals on the market
even on
that are workable.
That are just not priced right.
They're just not priced right. And if there's a good enough agent on the other side, they understand that. They get it, and they can communicate that to the seller. It may take them a little bit of a longer time. It may not be 2 weeks. It may be 2 months. It may be 3 months. I don't know. But when they're carrying that mortgage, they're paying the property taxes, and the house is not moving. That's pressure on everybody.
And so the other way that you're doing is you're looking at the stuff that's on the market that's not selling. Do you think it's 30 days when it starts to like, maybe?
In this market, I think it's more.
Yeah. So 45.
Maybe. I keep
60.
watching it. I look for price reductions. I have conversations with the listing agent.
And you have conversations, right? It could just hypothetically just come on the market right away. You feel like it's overpriced. You're starting to have that conversation. You're planting those seeds immediately.
Yeah. I have one of those right now that I'm working on, and he's never going to sell it at the price that he's listed at. Impossible.
Yeah.
I may even go as far as sending an offer, depending on the situation. I may even go as far as like, hey, here's an offer. This is what we're willing to pay for it. I know your guy is probably not ready for this right now, but in 2 months he will be.
And that's where you have the buy box, which is reasonable. That buy box is, 10, 12% below that market price, and you see it's priced 10% above, it's never going to sell. And you go, hey, whenever you're ready for the $1,850,000 offer, the $1,650,000 offer, whatever that price is, we're here, we're ready to go, because you've already talked to the developer. The developer really has a reasonable price. And the thing is not, by the way, a steal, because a developer has to go in, buy it, have carrying costs, have a plan, execute on the plan, take a risk. They now hold the title and all the stuff, and the market might shift in the wrong direction. Interest rates might shift in the wrong direction, and they're going to come out after all this work, several months later and make a couple $100,000, which sounds like a lot, but as a percentage, it's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
So one thing which we all thought would be a fun thing to do is, Merse, we're going to bring in. I know you have a partner, another principal in your group, Griffin, and who's not here with us.
He's a powerhouse. And
they
really work extremely well together.
The two of them together, and then you have two junior agents who I know very well because they are in here
relentlessly.
They have to be here,
making calls.
Yeah, they have to be here.
Yeah, and having a lot of fun.
They're having a lot of fun. We're having a good time. But one thing we really, really want is whoever is working with us included, you have to be in the office. I don't believe in being outside of the office. So they have to be here. That's the non-negotiable. I'm here. If I can make it every day, you guys can make it every day.
Right. Yeah. And then it does give a lot of support to the program for sure. And so we're going to bring on Andrew, who's one of the two junior folks on your team, but also has crushed it in a short period of time.
He's been doing great. He can speak to himself, but he's been doing great.
Okay. So, and I'm going to do this, when we talk to you, got to like really talk to that microphone. So Andrew Whaley, give us a little background, because we really want to dig into some of the stuff that
How did you get into real estate, and how did you meet this guy?
How did I get into real estate? I started at Keller Williams Beverly Hills. I always knew
as a brand new agent.
I always knew I wanted to get into real estate. My parents, I have two moms, and one of them did fix and flips and the other owned a contracting company. So growing up, I think it was just conversations at the dinner table. And I knew I wanted to, I'm from Northern California, wine country, Sonoma County.
Nice.
Always knew I wanted to go to the biggest market and sell real estate there. So I knew at a very young age, I was like a freshman in high school. So did that, started under someone else at Keller Williams Beverly Hills when I was 19. Learned a lot.
And how old are you now?
I'm 24.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So you've been in the business a little while.
A little while. But the way I met Merse was his office was literally the office right next door to the person who I was working under at the time. And I was in the cubicle, cold calling, just starting out. And me and him we just hit it off, always knew he was a great guy. And I learned a lot from Merse. So I joined his team, I think a year after, maybe a little longer. Joined his team a year after. And from there, it's been amazing. Learned so much from Merse about the business, investors, obviously. running a lot of numbers, doing a lot of different deals and deal types, which is great. But yeah, mostly just on the phone.
Where did it start? Did you basically have like an agenda and you were doing it with him? Like, give us a better sense.
But even before that, a lot of realtors, a lot of new realtors will decide to do it on their own. But you started on somebody else's team, so you had an idea like, hey, I'm going to go work on a team to begin with.
Right.
So what was the thought process there,
as opposed to going on your own? Right. That's a great question.
I knew I wanted to learn from someone who's been in the business for a while or had some sort of expertise. So the person I worked under previously taught me a lot and had me on the phones, because that's how he learned. And so I just knew I could do it on my own, but there was an uncertainty factor of like, okay, you don't know contracts, you don't know the business, you don't know Los Angeles that well. So it's like I needed someone to guide me through and teach me.
So let me ask you this, because I know the person you worked with previously, predominantly commercial.
Right.
And this isn't. So tell us a little bit about that transition, or was there much of one or not really? And then coming back to my question before, how did you begin to guide Andrew and help him get purposeful and productive?
Right. So the transition from, because it was mostly commercial, I was, cold calling apartment buildings, new construction apartment buildings. The transition was, in my opinion, it's still numbers based in single family, especially what we do, since we do a lot of development deals. But commercial is all, cap rate, GRM. It's numbers. So it comes down to that. There's no really, in my opinion, there's not a lot of depth in it. There's more substance in selling single family houses. So the transition to me was more interesting. And there's more depth, more substance.
And what I think you mean by depth and substance, and GRM is gross rent multiplier. So you take the total rents, and then there's a certain multiplier of the gross rents, the total rent. Say you have, a 4-unit and it's
$8,000 a month
or whatever it is. Yeah. And then there's a multiple of that, which is generally the sales price. And I think what you mean by more interesting is that this is very cut and dry. And so it's like, does it hit the cap rate? Does it hit the gross multiplier or not? And then it's just a numbers game of like call. And these apartment owners, because I'm an apartment owner, and like you just get bombed out by people doing the same thing. And so there's more nuance and there's more creativity, right?
And opportunity to create value in many ways. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And so when you started to work with Andrew, what did that sort of training look like?
It was relatively simple because at the time when I first met him, he lived in San Diego. So this guy would drive to the office from San Diego 3 or 4 times a week, make X amount of cold calls, 100, 200 cold calls. I don't remember how many did you made at the time, but 100, 200 cold calls. So in my eyes, if this kid is willing to do that at 19 years old, driving from San Diego 3-4 times a week, sitting in traffic for 2.5 hours, make his calls, he may or may not get, any given week, you may or may not get something. He's a great person for this. Like, he's just a hardworking guy who is there every day and he's hitting the phones. I think he needed a little bit more guidance at the time. And his cubicle was right in front of my office, like you said it. And we started talking, we hit it off. We started talking about real estate. And I told him right off the bat that if you ever want to make a change in your career, let me know. We would be excited to have you. But it's his work ethic. That's really what it was. It was his work ethic. So to convert him from cold calling multifamily to cold calling for single family developers, it's not that big of a change. It's numbers. It's not that big of a change. And also he started cold calling so we don't only do developer deals. We have a very strong buyer pool for certain pockets of the city, and one of them is Beverly Hills, whether it's the flats of Beverly Hills or South Beverly Hills. And that, in my opinion, in the whole city of LA, that's a top top 3, if not top 1, most difficult market to cold call. It's very, very difficult to get a deal there. It's very hard. It requires a lot of work. So he was cold calling that area, and we got deals done, a good amount of deals done in that area for about a year or 2. So now he's applying the same work ethic and the same number of calls to an area that is much easier to get clients in. So for him, I think starting out in Beverly Hills, it's funny, we talked about this earlier today actually, was a huge benefit to him. That was an enormous struggle in the beginning because it's very, very hard to get a deal there. Very, very difficult. But when you're okay with that and you've been doing that for so long, that's your basis. You don't know anything else. Yeah. That's your basis. So when you go to an area that's much easier, I mean, you're having a field day there.
Yeah.
I have a question. Maybe it's for Merse, and then I'll get Andrew's perspective as well. You've got work ethic, which is very rare. So I'll give you that. And then there is sort of a skill, which is the ability to connect. And that skill is both innate, meaning everybody comes with a certain amount of it, whether it's a lot or a little. And then there's, time on task over time. So you get better at it over time. And then there's also the point of learning, having a mentor to teach you, because we all have experience with, I'll just think of one person, but there's a lot of people. There's one person that we used to work with, and that person was just here, morning till night, just like pounding the phone. So you just can't argue with work ethic. And yet nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
So at what, and the real challenge or the real mind thing that messes with your mind is even somebody who's good, who has guidance, who all these different things. Now you put them in the Beverly Hills flats, and it's just like, you're going to get so much rejection that, how do you know, how do you turn work ethic into actual success? Or did you have success before? How many deals were you doing before you were with Merse? How many deals after? What made that difference?
Calling Beverly. Yeah, we had this discussion this morning actually. But how many deals was I doing before Merse? I closed one deal at $5 million, and we represented both sides.
Wow.
And then after that,
and that took how many calls?
That took it took 6 months to get there.
6 months. And I see the way you work. You're working 6 days a week, just for starters. Mm-hmm. And how many hours a day?
How many hours a day? I mean,
how many calls you make in a day?
I can make 100 easy, but I changed my whole aspect on how many calls am I making a day. I changed it to, I'm not pleased until I have a couple good conversations. So I eliminated
quality.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I eliminated
the number of calls to the number of conversations, right. Quality conversations.
Right. Because I don't leave the office like feeling good about myself unless I've had, a couple good conversations or someone who's slightly interested, who I think I could call in 6 months from now would be interested. I'm working on a deal right now, or actually we opened escrow on a deal right now. I was talking to the guy since January. It doesn't seem like that long, but it is a long time when you keep following up, sending offers. He's coming back with a different price, and then you finally get it into escrow, and you're like, wow, I really worked that guy for a long time. So coming back to how many calls do you make? It's until I'm satisfied, until I feel like.
So one thing I know about you is the attitude. Coming back to the attitude of gratitude, which truly I don't know that I've ever seen you mad and upset. I know that. I'm sure there must be, and I'm around you quite a bit.
Right.
So what drives you? What motivates you? What keeps you? Because it's a game of a tremendous amount of rejection.
Tremendous.
What keeps you enthusiastic? What keeps you grateful? Because that's one of your big superpowers, because people gravitate toward those that are positive and optimistic, and they can feel that on the phone. So how do you maintain that?
The reason why I get out of bed in the morning is it's just this built-in work ethic. Waking up and making, everyone around you proud, It's like I come into the office, Mercedes in the office every day, Griffin's in the office every day, and I look up to them, I'm like, okay, these guys are great. So, everyone's in the office grinding. So it's like, I get out of bed in the morning and I go to work, great attitude. Why wouldn't I want to be in the business that I'm in?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting as you say that, just how important, as I wear my wrist, environment matters, and how when you have people who you respect and admire and you want to make them proud, and everyone feels the same way about one another, it just elevates everybody. Mm-hmm. And I think so many people miss that, there's accountability in there. There's commitment in there. There's fun in there. There's just it's like, hey, I don't want to be the weakest link. I want to just be one of the strongest links. And if everyone shares that philosophy, it just raises the bar.
Right. It's also the part of the reason why we have a small team, because I think we have a great environment, but we also, we do unorthodox deals. We do a lot of creative deals. We're loud. We're young. There is a lot that goes into it. So whoever we take on, if somebody wants to work here, whatever, whoever we take on, it has to be a good fit in that environment. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the reason why we're not out there trying to recruit new agents. So whoever comes in, I want them to be a good fit, because I don't want to, mess with that formula, and mess with what we have, because that could ruin everything. If I bring in a person that could be a killer, could be a great person on the phone, right?
But it ruins the chemistry.
Then that's not worth it to me. That is just simply not worth it to me.
We had a great interview with a guy that we enjoyed a lot. Unfortunately, his business and his house, he really specialized in the Palisades, Anthony Margules. And he had this thing that, to be polite, he called it a pineapple, and it was like his team was bigger, and anytime somebody would say some real negative thing on a Zoom or whatever, he'd throw the pineapple. So everybody was, they throw the pineapple in, and eventually they had to, just fire one of their agents that was highly productive, but just complained all the time.
Yep.
And we're in a different scenario that, with a real estate company of 2,000 realtors, where again, the margins in a brokerage are very different. And we sometimes say, as much as Josh and I believe environment matters, we're like, well, if we only hired the people we liked, the place would be, empty or mostly empty. Right. And so that is a big difference for sure. When we started Forward One, is we wanted to make sure we had people that really have your leadership, and then
that are grateful, that are collaborative, that are humble, that are willing to share. I mean, those are key pieces. And when you find that right connectivity, it's amazing how much it just, again, elevates everyone who engages.
Mm-hmm. I do want to ask you, just because order of magnitude, how many deals have you gotten? How many deals have you closed, let's say, in the last 6 months?
In the last 6 months, let's see, 3 deals closed in the last 6 months, and we represented buyer and seller on all three of them.
So that's six trades in the last 6 months. And how long?
24-year-old.
And how long do you think? How long did it take to get those 6 to happen? How long were you working on them?
Well, one of them was a 6-month escrow.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Just a 6 month escrow.
Yeah.
So you get it into escrow and it's 6 months.
Yeah, we got it into escrow. Closed it after 6 months, and then another one opened up at the same time, but that one was a 2-month escrow. Mm-hmm. A similar price point. So I mean, you work on these things, and they're.
What was the first time you talked to the person that you opened the escrow? What's the longest time from first contact, and what's the shortest time?
The longest period is 8 months.
From talking to them one time,
to closing the deal. One time. And there was 5 trustees on that 6-month escrow.
Uh-huh.
So it was
there's your answer.
Yep.
If you wanted to know why,
they point me in different directions, and I'm like, okay, we have to talk to 5 different people.
Mm-hmm.
And the shortest one, I mean, probably a month.
do you have any call reluctance? Because that's something that, that's something a lot of people, I have call reluctance, right? There's a conversation I need to have. It's like, it's a bummer, it's not my fault, but it's still a bummer. I don't really feel like having that conversation. I've had a bad day, there's a lot of excuses. So, I've waited a day and a half to have a conversation that I need to have.
It's natural to have that, but my mindset, and I learned it from, Merse and Griffin, but Griffin's whole aspect on it is like, just pick up the phone, have the conversation. Don't push it out. Pick it up, have the conversation right away, and whatever happens, happens. Yeah. It's in your control to call the person, even though you're reluctant to it. But whatever happens after is you get your answer. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what we always talk about. You much rather have the yes or the no right away so you can decide how to move forward, right? Otherwise, you're in limbo. Yep. There's nothing worse than being in limbo, right?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that's a conversation I have to have and judge the exact
I'll be candid with you. I'm pretty darn good at it, but there are times where I have call reluctance too. So
for sure, everybody has it.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will say like, well, what's the worst thing that somebody could say when you call, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? And the worst thing is generally not that bad. Although I have had a couple of doozies, man.
To be honest with you, my call reluctance, and it's yours too, which is a distinction, is people not people you don't know. I don't really have any call reluctance about people I don't know. People I do know, I have a relationship with. And there's,
and then you care.
Yeah. And you want to, and I'm practicing the conversation in my head to deliver it the right way,
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you make that cold call. And even then, I ran the Capital Drive for my daughter's school. Somebody had to do it. I couldn't volunteer on the PTA because I'm way too disorganized. So you got to do what your skills are like. Oh, well, how about being co-chair of the whatever? Yeah. I'm like, okay, what do I have to do now? It's like cold call a bunch of parents. And, it doesn't seem bad, but then you look at the school's already very expensive. Some parents are, they're not looking forward to your call saying like, hey, give some more money, are you do you know what the tuition? I'm like, dude, I know what the tuition is. I'm paying the tuition. But that was a tougher one for me with, calling the parents, but you got to break through that.
Yep. You ready?
I'm ready. But I will say, thanks for bringing that. Thanks for bringing all that to us. Every time we do this, I'm always I'm always doing something to relate it back to the audience too. And I will say this, what are you saying when you pick up the phone? So now we talked about, before you jumped in, we talked about buy box. And I think you are working in Mar Vista now. Is that one of your areas?
Yes.
And so tell me, just give me rough, what's the buy box? So what's a deal you're looking for?
A deal I'm looking for in Mar Vista is not much different than Beverly Grove. I mean, you purchase at 1718.
Right.
Working on a deal right now. Purchase price is 1.8, 6,000 lot.
Okay. So now I've got my buy box. Love it. So now ring, right? So now you get your list, and your list is all the 6,000 square foot homes in Mar Vista. Or what list are you working from?
Just pure Excel.
But how are you getting the names? Are you, because we have a client that wants a 6,000 square foot house in Mar Vista. They want to pay 1,718. Houses are on the market for $2 million. How do you find the list of people to call?
Yeah. So I pull a farm title. I pull it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my, I outline the area that I'm going to call, pull a title on it, and it gives me an Excel sheet of all the names.
Right.
And then I pull the numbers manually. But when I call and I'm going through my Excel sheet, I'm looking at houses with 6,000 lots. I put it in Google first and I satellite view it to see what the condition of the house looks like, backyard looks like, pride of ownership. And then I do a street view to see what the front looks like. Since, it's off market, I'm not going to be able to look at the interior.
Sure.
So I get a judge of it based on the exterior.
Right.
Is your paint chipped? Is your, roof caving in?
This is a very important point, because if you give me the Excel sheet and I'm calling blind, I do what you do in terms of whenever I have to make a call, if it's on the business side, I'll go in LinkedIn. I at least want to know, like, what's their, where did they go to college? What's their, job history? I might go to Facebook, are they married? Do they have kids? Find out just a few things, even if I don't mention it, even if I don't mention, I go into that call, with more confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you've got your list, you're looking at the exterior and all that kind of stuff. My paint is I've got a little wear and tear on the house. And now you're calling me. And so it's like, what's that call look like?
When I could,
Yeah.
ring.
Hello?
Hello, I was calling for Paul.
It's Paul.
Hey, Paul, this is Andrew Whaley with Keller Williams. How are you?
Busy, but I'm good, but busy. What's up?
Good. I was just giving you a call about your property in Mar Vista on Main Street.
Yep.
I have a couple of clients who are looking to purchase in the area. I just closed 2 deals, one on Redwood, one on May. Wanted to see if you'd have any interest in an offer for your property.
I got to be honest with you. I get a lot of calls like this, and I'm not looking to list my place right now. So I just, I need, not really, to be honest.
Okay. I completely understand. If a lot of people are calling you, do you know what your property's worth? Have you, took a look at the sales in the area? Mar Vista is pretty good right now.
Yeah. I haven't really, I saw a house down the street, and it was, I forget what the price was, but the sign was in the yard forever. And then eventually the sign came out of the yard. So they didn't sell it. I don't know what was up with that.
Right. If you're not looking to sell, I can't, control what you're going to do with your property, but I wouldn't mind sending you some sales in the area. Do you have a good email I could reach you at so I could send them over?
Sure. I don't want to waste your time. I'd be sort of interested in what some stuff sold for, but I don't want to waste your time because I'm not really looking to sell.
I understand completely. If I could get an email, it'd be great. I'll just send you some stuff over.
Okay. That was I on the scale of average. Was I tougher than average, or was I easier than average?
Yeah, tougher than average. Normally conversations in these areas, if someone
So I was tougher than average.
Tougher than average.
Wow. Okay.
Because my whole thing is a true seller will always give you some sort of hint that they're interested in selling or interested in some sort of offer. Always. If they've been thinking about it the night before, 2 nights before, a week before, it's in their head already. So if you cold call them and they were thinking about it previously, they'll either hesitate and say, I've been thinking about it, and then you hit them with it. Mm-hmm. But someone who has no interest in selling, none at all, and they say, nah, I'm not really looking to sell at all. That's where I just go, okay, sounds good. And then I move on. If they let me down easy, if they're, friendly, I'll call them back in 3 months. Like I put in my notes, soft no, hard no, definite no. That's kind of how I differentiate them.
Even if it's a definite no, like, you know what, I'm absolutely not interested. Do you think it would be halfway decent use of your time? So like if we did this role play again, and I'm like, but I'm still nice, I'm nice enough. I'm like, yeah, I'm busy. You know what? Look, dude, I am not interested in selling. And you go, okay, hey, thanks. Do you think it would be worthwhile to say, but I did say I don't know what the house prices are in the area. So if you were doing the call with me and you're saying, so I say to you, hey Andrew, do you, I'm just curious, do you have any interest or inkling to sell your property?
I don't know what sales are going for.
But if you go tougher on me, you're like, absolutely, yeah, I'm definitely not.
Okay, definitely not.
Oh, okay, hey, that's cool. But do you know the market prices? Like, do you have curiosity about the market pricing at all?
I don't know what things have sold for in my area. I just don't want to sell.
Oh, you don't want to sell. Okay. But, and I totally appreciate that. And I'm getting off the phone with you right now because I don't want to bug you. But I'd be happy because I do this all the time, including people that are on the fence. So they really want to sell, they're on the fence. I hear you really don't want to sell, but would it be all right with you if I sent you a list of stuff that's sold in your area? At least that way you'll know what things have been selling for.
Yeah, you can send me stuff over. I don't want to waste your time, but
Yeah.
you can send me
No, I really appreciate that too. And I don't want to waste your time. That's why I'm letting you off the phone. But, I pull this together all the time anyway, because this is what I send to the people in the area that are sort of interested to sell. So shoot me your email address and I'll send some stuff over.
Okay. So thank you, Paul.
Yeah. Do you think it's worth doing that?
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's always worth
Yeah.
it. I think when I get to that point, what I do is I sell
You
something.
can say
in the
something.
area.
I'd love to plant some seeds. You never know what may change in the future.
Yeah.
This will give you some information when and if it ever becomes applicable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When I get to that point, I start showing them my activity.
Yeah.
Because these guys, they don't know you.
Yeah.
So I start showing, if I open escrow,
Yeah.
hey, I just open this escrow.
All you can do is looking at my phone, look at my text message and tell me the people that are not interested in meeting me and my responses to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So I speak from a lot of experience.
If he quit calling
All the people that said
no first, with a one-time.
You
no.
never know what you may learn that may change your thoughts and opinions and
right.
decisions.
Right.
Awesome.
So, yep.
All right, let's
go.
let's do fire
Yep.
round and then we're gonna ask each of you a question
Okay.
and
quick, visceral response.
Just quick answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why don't you start with Merse?
So what's the attribute that you love to have that you currently do not?
I could be more spontaneous in business.
Andrew, what is your greatest fear?
My greatest fear in business?
Your greatest fear?
Losing everything.
Who do you most admire?
My family.
What's an insult you've received that you're proud of getting?
I'm proud of getting.
Mm-hmm.
You're just a kid. I respect it. Have a good day.
What's the quality you most admire in others?
If someone is relentless, not giving up.
What's a talent you'd most like to have?
Being better in the finance aspect of deals.
What's your idea of perfect happiness?
Freedom, when you're allowed to do whatever you want to do at any given time.
All right, Merse, you a lot of great hikes in LA. You've got a dog. Maybe you climb the very, very steep hill. You go on this
On
very
Crescent
long-
Heights.
You go this really steep hill and you get to the top of that peak and you look down and it's your family and your friends and your teammates and clients and colleagues and your whole community, and you shout one thing. What do you shout?
I'll meet you down there. Yeah.
I love it.
What's your answer?
What's your answer?
That's a good one.
See you when I get back down.
I'll see you guys up here. I think that if all my friends and family were down below, I would just say thank you. I would scream thank you to the top of my lungs. Wouldn't be here without you guys.
Nice.
Love it. You guys are
Guys.
amazing guys. So dynamic, so amazing. Appreciate you.